Yeah. Ooh. Hey guys, Fishmonger here. Apparently Cat doesn't want to play. Today's going to be a little bit of Q&A with Fishmonger, and it's also going to be a little bit of a FAQ, or FAQ, or Frequently Asked Questions video, because I seem to get a lot of questions that seem to pretty much always be the same questions over and over again, so I want to see if I can make a video that helps address this, so I don't have to keep answering everybody's individual emails all the time, and also make it easier for you to have a place to come back to look for questions that need to get answered. So let's do that today. Question number 1, and these are in no particular order. It says, Dear Fishmonger, the codes you gave me do not work. I am getting an error code. Please advise what to do next. Well, the problem most likely is the fact that I fucked up when I did the code generator for switching different versions of Fishmonger. So if you have an older version of like 2.026, 2.030, 2.031, whatever it is, if you're not running the most current version of Fishmonger, it's likely possible that the codes I give you aren't going to work, because when I updated my code generator, I didn't have a backup version for the old versions. So basically the only codes I can actually give you right now are for the new version, currently as of today, which is 10.9. For 2.032. So if you give me your old code, what I can do is send you a reset code, which will basically wipe all information from your computer that says that Fishmonger was on it, it was installed. You can download and run the latest version. You give me your new code, and then basically I'll give you the unlock code you need, and then basically reimburse you for any time that you may have. That way you can be up and running, and not only that, but using the latest version, which has the latest features in it and everything like that. Question number 2. Fishmonger, your program has a virus in it. What the fuck? I say this a lot, but no, my program does not have a virus in it. Fishmonger was written in AutoHotkey. It is a free-to-use scripting program software that you can get that's very easy to actually understand, because I basically have very little programming experience, and I just kind of taught myself how to do this. And the way AutoHotkey works, whenever you take the code and then basically compile it into an executable, there's some stuff that goes on under the hood. I really don't understand how it is, but it's not like really an executable. It's kind of like a self-extracting, kind of self-running thing that works. It's Mojo or whatever to make it so it actually runs as an executable. So you don't need to actually download and run AutoHotkey and run the bare script yourself. And when I compile it, I compress it. And the compression basically makes a lot of antivirus programs say, whoa, I can't really read the code that's in the inside, so this must be a virus. And it's known in the AutoHotkey community that very often executable files are flagged as false positives for being viruses, and that's just the way it is, just the way the cookie crumbles. Really not much I can do about it. Sometimes if I change my code around and I recompile it, it actually doesn't really trip certain antivirus programs. If I do a new version versus an old version, it's just how I rearrange the code, different things I do in it. It all depends on how anal the antivirus software wants to get. So if you have any concerns or whatever about that, you can always take the executable file, send it to a place like virustotal.com, which basically throws it up against like 60 antivirus programs. And for the most part, wow, there are nuts falling on my roof. For the most part, it only comes back with like 1 or 2 or 3 false positives right now. The other 60 plus scanners like say everything's okay. And Windows Defender sometimes likes it, sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on how Windows Defender is being that day, because it's Windows Defender. What are you going to do? But you can go in and basically whitelist the program inside the settings inside Windows Defender to say, hey, this program's okay. I give it a thumbs up. AVG also has that. Avast has that. A lot of other, like Norton, McAfee, you can actually whitelist folders or files to basically make it so you can actually run them and just bypass the antivirus. You may need to do that if you want to run Fishmonger, because like I said, depending on what your antivirus is, it may like it, it may not. And if you're hesitant about it at all, and you really think I'm going to throw a virus in your computer, then just don't download and run it, because I don't really give a shit. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I do a lot of GPU mining, and way back in the day, it's like every single freaking GPU miner out there you download would basically flag as a, hey, this is a malicious program, and they're not malicious, just the way they're kind of run and designed. The software that people put out sometimes gets evolved so much faster than antivirus programs do, and they just flag everything as bad because they just want to be safe and protect your computer. So no, Fishmonger doesn't have a virus because I'm not in the business of giving out viruses to people, because that's not a really good way for me to earn a good reputation and for me to actually make money selling a product. Because nobody would want to buy it if it actually had a virus in it. I wouldn't be selling a lot of Fishmonger if that was the case. So no. Question number 3. Fishmonger, you have really awesome t-shirts. How do I buy one? Unfortunately, you can't right now. I am out of stock. I may be printing more later, but actually I'm looking at doing bumper stickers because I think they're actually cool. Actually, I'm looking at getting magnetic bumper stickers. So it's not the kind you put them on your car or whatever, and you're committed to using them. It's like you can put them on your car, and then you sell your car or whatever. You can take the sticker off. It's magnetic. You can put it on another car. That way it doesn't damage your paint and all that good stuff. So that's something I'm actually kind of looking at, which is pretty cool. Plus, with that magnetic ones, you can buy a couple and just go around parking lots randomly and throw them on people's cars. Give me free publicity. I think it's pretty cool. Fishmonger, your program casts and casts and casts and recasts over and over and over again. I can never get it to actually catch the fish. What's going on? All right, this is a common thing that basically gets told to me. That's probably one of the more common things that everyone complains about, is the fact that it just keeps recasting over and over and over again, and it doesn't actually do anything. If Fishmonger is casting, and then casting, and then casting, and not doing anything other than that, then what's happening is it's not seeing the bobber inside the search box. Even though you may be able to see the bobber inside the search box, it doesn't see the bobber inside the search box. And the way Fishmonger runs, it's just a pixel detection software that is just looking for the bright color white, bright white. It's looking for bright white, okay? So you may be able to look at the bobber and say, oh, look, it looks white enough to me. Fishmonger is saying, no, it's not white enough to me. I don't see it. I'm going to recast again because I don't see the bobber. I'm going to cast until I see it. So the way to fix this is basically just to turn your character until you're casting into a spot that actually makes the bobber a brighter color at the very top. Or you can actually take your color sensitivity slider and actually slide that up to a higher number, so it'll allow it to detect not only the color white, but also darker shades of white going down and down and down. So that's essentially, you have to look at that color sensitivity slider. When it's all the way to the left, when it's at the low numbers, it's basically saying, I'm going to look at really, really bright white and then colors that are just a little bit, tiny bit darker than bright white. But the further you set that slider down, it's saying, okay, I'm looking at bright white and then not so bright white and not even a bright white. And then when you get down to the 200s, it's kind of like looking at light grays for colors and stuff like that, which is why the further you slide it to the right, it tends to find everything, like rain and just the character that runs by in front of it, because a lot of things are not bright white in the game. Fishmonger, your program is seeing the fish and catching it, but it's not looting it. What's going on? All right, so inside Warcraft, there's actually an option called auto loot. You have to make sure that's enabled in your Warcraft settings. Otherwise, it won't catch. And also, the default for Fishmonger is to right-click. When it sees the bobber moving and it goes up and down and it goes over to it, it actually presses a right-click to the system. And if it if your mouse is set up to backwards, or you're set up to you have your mouse buttons reversed, that'll also screw it up. But the main culprit is auto loot. Make sure auto loot is on inside the Warcraft settings, and there's a setting underneath it, which I'm putting all this stuff on the screen right now as I'm talking all this, but it's a little setting underneath it that says something like it's an auto loot modifier. You want to make sure that's set to none. Otherwise, it'll loot, but it expects you to hit Shift or Alt or some other kind of key in place of that. So just make sure that auto loot is on and that no modifiers are in place also, and then you should be okay. Fishmonger, I entered the codes you gave me. However, for some reason, it still says I'm in trial mode. Please advise. All right, so if it's possible the codes go in and they say everything's okay, but you're still in trial mode or the date doesn't increment right, it's possible that you're not using the date format that I am, which is, I'm over in the United States, so it's the month / day / year format. On some computers, I've noticed over in the European Union or over other places where they set their format up as day / month / year, when the codes go to get entered, it doesn't process them properly, and it gives you some kind of weird date, which is not even a real thing for Fishmonger. It looks at it and goes, what the hell? And then it screws up and basically just kind of puts you in trial mode as like a safety thing. It should actually be auto-converting everything properly. It should put everything into the ISO format for the international date. So on some computers, I don't know why it does that. Just email me the screenshot, the specific information that you've got on it. I'll look at you from a individual basis, but likely it's something just related to that, and it's probably simple that I can work past. I just have to kind of trick Fishmonger into changing the dates around the proper way, but we should be able to get that resolved. Fishmonger, I'm trying to get the bait to work, however it's not working. Please let me know what's going on. Okay, so as of right now, if you're fishing in vanilla mode, vanilla applies bait differently than the other expansions do. Like right now, what Fishmonger does to put bait on is it just does the /use command, and it puts the bait on the fishing lure based on /use, like typing into a keyboard. On vanilla, it doesn't do that. It's some other kind of weird thing where you have to select the bait, you have to select your bobber, you have to apply it, you have to do something else. There's a whole fucking hokey pokey thing you go through to do it, which makes vanilla oh so fun, but it's a pain in the ass. So right now there's no proper way to do it or to automate it in Fishmonger, so bait just doesn't work. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it, but it's just something that's kind of above me right now, and not a lot of people use this for vanilla, so it's not high on the totem pole to get fixed. Fishmonger, your program works great. I catch fish all the time, except when it's raining. Do you have any suggestions on what to do to fix that? Okay, rain is kind of a pain in the butt, because right now in BFA, it rains a lot, especially at nighttime. And nighttime is actually another thing, which is another question here, but rain and night right now are a little bit tricky for Fishmonger, because Fishmonger is looking for a bright white color inside of a search box to detect movement, to assume that a bobber is moving. When rain is in that search box, especially at nighttime, you have to adjust your color sensitivity to be able to match the bobber, while at the same time making it so it doesn't see the rain. So right now the way Fishmonger works is it says, all right, here's a search box. Let me look in there. I'm going to look for white. Oh, I found white. Okay, here's its coordinates. I'm going to wait a little bit, and I'm going to look again. Oh, here's white. Here's its coordinates. Did it move a lot? If the answer is no, it doesn't assume a bobber got caught. If it notices a lot of movement on the y-axis, it says, oh, the bobber went up and down. So it must be that the bobber got caught from fish. So it goes to catch it. However, a lot of time rain will get in the way, because as it's searching the window, it finds white over here from the rain, even though the bobber's over here, and it says, oh, look at that huge difference in the y-axis. It must be the bobber moved, so I'm going to go catch it. So I have some ideas on how I can fix this. Right now, it's just a matter of trying to keep your bobber as bright as you can, and try to fish where it's not raining or raining lightly. You can actually go into the Warcraft settings and change some of the settings to make it so the weather effects aren't as big. That'll certainly help. It's not going to completely fix the problem, but what I plan on doing at a later date is I have to change how it looks at the catch. And basically the way I'm going to do it is basically say, all right, here's the bobber. And now all of a sudden, now that the bobber is here, instead of scanning that whole search window again, we're going to limit the scans to basically be an area within the general area that it found the original scan, instead of looking in the whole box again. So it's going to go from a large box to a smaller box. And then it's going to say within that box, is there any movement that goes up and down in a large amount? And then if that's the case, then the bobber is going to catch. This is my thought anyway. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it actually might, but I have to do some testing on that, and that's going to be something that I do plan on releasing at a later date. And then to get to the other thing about the dark color, there's really not much I can do about that too. It's just because the way Fishmonger is programmed, it wants to look for bright colors. So you just gotta, if the moon's behind you and it's not cloudy, generally you can kind of just change your position to cast so it's bright enough where you can fish in nighttime. Because I know there's the certain kinds of salmon and certain kind of fish actually appear more at night. But right now there's really no good way to do it, unfortunately. All right, last but not least, Fishmonger. Your program works great. I had it set up. It was running awesome. Went for a bunch of time. Logged in the next day. Same exact settings, and now it's not working. What is the problem? Okay, so World of Warcraft is a dynamic game. It runs on a 24-hour sun and moon schedule. The lighting in the game will greatly impact the color of the bobber, the color of the background, and basically affect the settings on the game itself. So, you can be in one zone at 5 o'clock on one day, and it's sunny and bright, and you're fishing, and everything's great. And then the same exact zone, 5 o'clock the next day, same exact time, but let's say it's cloudy or raining or whatever, like I said before. That'll screw things up. You could be in another zone at 5 o'clock, and maybe because it's a little hazy or there's some fog or something going on in the background, it'll change the color of the search window and then the bobber, and basically require you to tweak the settings a little bit. It's very rare you're going to just go into one place and it's going to be the same exact thing over and over again and you're going to be fine. Back in, was it Warlords of Draenor? I think it was, where they had the garrisons. I forgot which expansion that was. But garrisons were a great spot to fish because it seems like the weather never changed. You had your own little fishing pond, so nobody was around you, which was awesome. And it was just very, very, very consistent fishing. Also, I had, the other expansions, it seems like the weather and the effects for the weather and the lighting and the sun just wasn't as great. As the newer expansions go on, they seem to kind of make more dynamic weather, more dynamic changes with lighting and stuff like that, which is affecting how Fishmonger works. So, yeah, it's entirely possible. You could be standing in one spot one day, it's working, log in the same exact spot, same exact time of day the next day, but because the weather changed or the lighting changed, you have to adjust Fishmonger basically to make that work again. So that's just something you got to keep an eye on. And it's like anything else, like riding a bike with Fishmonger. The more and more you do it, the better and better you get at it. Eventually you can start doing it with no hands. Well, I guess Fishmonger, you still need your hands to program it. But, it's the more and more you get at it, and the better you get at it, the better you understand it. It's a lot easier to dial in all your settings in a particular zone because you can kind of look at the color of the background. You can look at the bobber, and you can say, all right, based on how far away from I am from the bobber, the camera's this far away, my movement sensitivity should be this much. The color of the bobber is a certain color, my color sensitivity will be this much. And it's not very trafficked, so I'll run it for 45 minutes, or this is a high population zone, I'll run it for 15 minutes while I'm just, going to get some food or something like that. You'll learn all these little things, little ins and outs of it. So it's just one of those things, like I said, you can't always expect it to work the same exact way every single time you log in. All right, and one other thing, not on a card, but there have been reports. I don't know if I can bring this up. I came across this article the other day. Basically, it was written by a website called unbanster.com. Apparently, it's a service that unbans you from when you're banned in multiple games, but which I have no affiliation with this place, by the way. But I noticed an article they wrote basically that says that there's a WoW fishing bot ban wave in October of 2018. It essentially says, almost 3 months since the last ban wave, albeit for WoW account sharing, Blizzard issued yet another wave of bans. This time, though, it's players accused of using third-party software, specifically phishing bots. Not exactly what you expected, is it? Well, it's quite the reason to get banned from WoW. So let's get right into it. And it talks about what is a phishing bot, which is exactly what Fishmonger is, and then what type of bans were issued for this phishing bot wave. And it looks like they're giving out 6-month bans and some issues with that. So Fishmonger, but Blizzard is now really looking at and cracking down on phishing bots. They have before in the past, but it looks like in October, they must have changed some of their algorithms, changed some of their searching patterns. Maybe they're looking for the characters that are just fishing out of the blue for hours at a time and then dumping it all in the auction house. Not really sure how they're looking for it right now, but their eyes are open when it comes to phishing bots. So it's important for you to remember when it comes to a phishing bot or a gathering bot or a leveling bot or any kind of bot, if you're going to run a bot, it's very important you understand that there is a chance that you could get caught. It's cheating. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's cheating in a game. They don't permit cheating. If they catch you cheating, you will get banned. My account has not been banned yet. There have been reports of people getting banned. I give out codes somewhere in the range of 10 to 25 codes a day. Over the last years, well, several months lately, but I've been giving out codes for years and years and years. The amount of people that are actually coming back and saying that they're actually getting banned is a drop in the bucket based on the actual number of people that have used Fishmonger over the years. But that does not mean that you are not going to get caught. That does not mean they're not looking at you. If you've botted before in the past, they probably have your account on some kind of special eyes where they're checking it out. If you are coming into fishing or any other kind of botting out of nowhere with an account and your numbers skyrocket based on, like what I said before, how much you're gathering and how long you're fishing at a time, that's a no-no. I got an email from a guy actually who told me he got banned. He's like, hey, I got your trial. It was great. I bought 30 days and I started using it. And then I got banned. And he's like, and he basically said, it's probably my fault because I was fishing for 13 hours at a time. And I said, yeah, that's probably one of those things that you should not do, especially when you first start out fishing, is fish for 13 hours at a time, because they're going to look at that and all they have to do is program Warcraft to say, look for people who are logged in for X amount of time, and then based on X amount of time, what their location is, and then based on what their location is, what they're doing. And it's not that hard to say, okay, here's player X. Player X has been on for 10 hours. Player X has had the same exact coordinates for the last 8 hours. And player X in those 8 hours have caught 4,000 fish. And it's like, well, either they are on a lot of Adderall or drinking a lot of coffee and they're just really sitting there into their fishing, or they're running a fishing bot. And at that point, they'll probably send it over to somebody or whatever to take a look at it, verify that, you're botting, and then basically give you a 6-month ban. So it's one of those things. A lot of botters understand the risk. A lot of people don't, but there's a risk when you bot. You want to make sure that you take every kind of precaution you possibly can. Most importantly, if you value and cherish your main account, don't bot on your main account at all. Zero, zilch. It's just not worth it. As far as I'm concerned, it's not worth it. If you tell me you're like an 8-year pro in Warcraft and you've got 7 characters that are all max level, and now you want to start fishing, and it's your one account, I'll tell you it's really not a good idea to do that, because the chances of you getting caught are there now that you are botting. You're opening yourself up to basically say, am I going to get caught? It's kind of like unprotected sex, Don't bot. It's protected sex. Chances are, well, maybe not a good example, but, you start having unprotected sex, all of a sudden you start gambling, you're rolling the dice. You may get something you regret later. With Warcraft, it could be a ban. So do yourself the favor and do it like a lot of other people do, which is just get a second account. Real simple. In fact, you could take advantage of the recruit a friend bonuses and things like that. You can actually link it directly to the same Battle.net account, which makes it so all your cross account stuff is shared. Like heirlooms and things like that are shared from one account to the other, so it makes leveling super easy on a second account. A long time ago, when I was doing testing on Fishmonger back in version 2.02, I ran my second account for 24 hours straight, and I got hit with a ban notice. And I'm actually surprised they let it run for 24 hours straight, but it was exactly on that 24-hour number where basically my computer automatically logged me off. It automatically kicked me off WoW, and then basically I logged back in because I was on vacation or whatever like that, and I came back in, and basically it said that, I had a 6-month ban on that account. So at that point, I said, hey, 24 hours seems like it's the max cutoff. Shouldn't bot any more than 24 hours. That was at the time when that was the case. And a lot of people were botting for very long periods of time. And actually, I was doing it on my other accounts because I have 5 accounts because I multi-box. So I was doing it on my other accounts and still making 20-hour, 15-hour runs, no problem. But now it looks like they're kind of got their eyes open as far as what they're looking to do. Hang on a second. There are some programs out there that I think you should take advantage of when you first download Fishmonger. I try to release Fishmonger and recompile it and change a couple things around fairly often so that it has what's known as a different MD5 or a hash to it. Basically, it's like a unique identifier to the program to say, hey, this is this program. Any other program that matches this hash, this MD5, essentially is identical. And Blizzard, if they wanted to, could just say, hey, this is a known botting program. Here's the MD5. Search for this. And if anybody else comes up with it, chances are they're botting. So there are some tools out there that you can use. And actually, there's one that's on the Own Core forums. It's actually from a contributor named, I'm going to butcher his name, Cretia. And he actually made this for a program that he wrote a while ago called Lazyfish, which is actually a different fishing bot program, which is actually a nice fishing bot program. I think he's discontinued it now. But essentially what it does is you take any kind of executable, you can load it up, you can say, hey, change the MD5, and what it'll do is it'll do that and essentially make your description or your identifier of the program unique so it doesn't match anything else that's out there. So it's a good safety precaution you should take when you're running Fishmonger, before you run Fishmonger. Basically just change the MD5 so it doesn't match the download of every other program that's out there for Fishmonger, because I've been running Fishmonger for years, 3-4 years now. A lot of people have downloaded it. So, back in the day, it wasn't really well known. Now it seems like it's kind of picking up some steam, and a lot of people have it. And if you all have the same program and the same version, then, you could be more likely to get caught if they're searching for something like that. So, a program like this, and there's other ones out there that is called like MD5 modifiers or changers or anything like that. I recommend you run one of those before you run Fishmonger and help yourself out. All right, that kind of does it for this Q&A. I am going to be calling it quits. This is a lot longer than I expected it to run, but that's okay. I'll be putting like a summary down at the bottom after I chop this video up and do some editing, so you can kind of run through it, and hopefully this will help you out. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Everyone always says that, so I expect you to do the same. You want to stay up to date with any kind of changes or anything I do with Fishmonger, because I am actively working on it. Just hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell thing if you want to stay notified. If you got a problem with Fishmonger, if it's causing you issues, email me. Let me know what the issue is. I do what I can to try to help everybody out. And I always tell everybody, look, I give the program away for free. You can download the free version, the full version for free. Give me your code. Try it out. If you like it, and you want like more time, let me know the information. I can hook you up with more time. You can pay me for it. Please don't just out of the blue pay for it and then find out it doesn't work, because I don't offer refunds on it, because how am I to know that it doesn't work? You probably could be lying. Believe me, there's been a lot of people who have just bought like a year of Fishmonger and then a day later say, hey, I like this and I can't get it to work. Fishmonger sucks. Give me my money back. And I'm like, I give the thing away for free. It's written down everywhere I give it away for free. You could totally try it out before you invest any money into it. So it's not my fault that you just decided to do this. I'm sorry, but I don't offer refunds. And with that, I'm going to go enjoy the beautiful day today. I'm going to go take a scooter ride. So this is Fishmonger. Catch you on the